Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm here with the one and only wonderful Wolf, and pretty and pink as normal. And this is just general share advice and not personal advice. Ah, Wolfie, 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 Wolfie. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you very much. And yes, pretty in pink it is today.
Um, Wolf.
We've got some announcements to go through, don't we?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's go. Let's go through souls. So,
Mm.
um, and forgive me not. I'm going to put this on a monthly chart, right? As a long-term play. So they had their announcement out today, and I'm going to sort of bring it across so we can all have a look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this company is an extremely well diversified company, right? You can see they've got total assets here of 9 billion. And when you go through it, they've got their strategic portfolio. So we'll go through it one by one, Wolfie. You've got their strategic portfolio, which is they've got shareholdings in TPG, Brickworks, New Hope Coal, Apex Healthcare, Pengana, Tuas. And then you go down here and you see they've got 3.376 million in a number of investments in larger cap companies, some of the biggest ones on our market, Woolworths and BHP, and again, very, very, very strong. Then you go down further, they got 650 million, which is in maybe growing portfolio of private companies, maybe companies that one day they list like Round Oak, AMP Control, Ironbark, just a number of really interesting little stories.
Yep.
And then they go down here. They've got another 531 million invested in companies like Life 360, Clover, EOS, Firefinch, Ballador. I mean, we know Gud. We know a lot of these stories, yeah?
Not SiteMinder. We like SiteMinder.
SiteMinder, yeah. So
very, very diversified, isn't it?
incredibly. And then you've got here you've got they invest in capital structure, optimize risk returns on attractive opportunities. So you've got corporate loans, hybrid instruments. They're just across the board. They're into everything.
They are, and this is what probably makes it attractive and makes it fairly market proof, right? So if there's going to be lots of volatility, yeah, it will probably be volatile with the markets a bit, but generally speaking, if you look at the performance, they just leave it that right there, right? It's just been an incredible ride for a long time, and I think that will probably continue. They've got obviously great management. If you saw the other slide, I think on page 7, it was the dividends that was also super interesting. So GFC and no GFC. There you go. No, so the next one up. Oh no, was it down? No, it doesn't matter. Look, dividends were just going up every single year.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's the right
one. That's the one. So GFC, no GFC, war, not war. They just keep delivering. And this is why, if you're looking for a long-term investment, this is probably definitely have to be up there as a fundamental and technical story. And sometimes these stories, if you can just go back to that long-term chart, Dave, for me, right? So we know the business is very diversified. It's got its little pores in a lot of different things. And it's going to be a little bit messy as well. So that's the other thing you just got to remember. It's going to be a little bit messy because they've just made a merger with Milton. So, there's been one-offs in there as well, this thing. But if you look at this long-term chart, it gives you opportunity to buy it when it comes back to the trend on certain times. And this is the time right now, I think. It's come back. It's sort of at that thing. It might come back to that red line that sometimes it does, right? Over the last, 13, 14 years, it's come back to it 3 or 4 times. So maybe at 22 would be another nibble. But look, I'd be probably already nibbling. If I'm looking at a long-term story that's been delivering, doesn't matter what conditions we're in, whether it's high interest rate environment, whether it's low interest rate environment, whether it's, like I said, GFC and non-GFC, it's just been almost foolproof, hasn't it? It's just unbelievable. Yeah. So great.
Not the greatest dividend though, although it's a consistent and growing dividend. I think what's the dividend to?
But I think between 2 and 3%. I mean, that's you can just sort of just add that onto your investment returns, right? Well, because it's been consistent over the last 20 years.
Well, it's better than 1% in the bank, that's for sure, Wolf.
Well, you're already, you're starting at plus 2% returns before you do anything else, right? If that's how you maybe want to have a look at it. I feel barring any disasters, of course, but you can see the attractiveness of the company long term, where you wouldn't probably be buying at $40, but at 26, you think to yourself, very attractive.
I think it's possible, Wolfie. Like it does come down a little bit lower though, to around that 22. Just the way it's moved in the past, and you can see where it's played around with trend lines. It's been a bit weaker. The market is weak, right? It's possible, Wolfie. It could come, but I mean, what you're saying is that accumulating this stock between $26 and $22 for a long-term approach. So nibble a bit now. If it goes lower to 23, nibble a bit more, nibble a bit more at 22. Just have a good nibble at this around this sort of area.
Yeah, I mean, you're backing the long-term performance, the historical financials that you can see that have been obviously pretty good. These guys play the long-term game, so you've got to have to play the long-term game with them. That's just the way it works. You're backing the management here, and they've really have a remarkable track record, Dave. So you've got to say, is this a little mini Berkshire that we've got here? Possibly, right? I know it doesn't have the same investments, but they are sort of similar type thinking, long-term, invest into businesses, buy businesses, and so on. So for me, definitely one of the better stocks on the ASX, and you can see why.
Definitely, Wolf, and arguably a really nice story for a young person, that's got that long-term approach, and see where this could be in 20, 30, 40 years.
I know, but look, it's come back from $40 to 26. I mean, that's attractive. Even though you're probably maybe right, it might come back to the 22. At 26, I'm thinking, my goodness me, if I got that 5 to 10 year outlook, I'm thinking, good time to accumulate some.
Yeah, okay, definitely. So the idea is accumulate a little bit now, and maybe if it goes a bit lower, accumulate a little bit more, and try and build up a position for a long-term play in Soul Pats.
Yep. Good result, by the way, today. That's probably we haven't mentioned today. Good result. It had, like I said, it was a little bit messy because of that Milton merger. I think they had $1 billion worth of write-downs on the goodwill, which is fine. I mean, that's what happens when you've got a merger between the two companies. But it was non-cash anyway, so it's all good. Looks pretty good. So let's go to the next one, which is BKW,
which actually they own a big chunk of.
Yeah, exactly. I think what was it, 40-something%, right? 43.3. Here we go.
And I'll keep this on the monthly chart, Wolf, because we're sort of pretty long term on it.
Yeah. So this is I think for me, another great story. Not as obviously diversified as your Soul, but I'm still loving the business. It's got property division, it's got an investment position, and it's also got, of course, the Brickworks, which is the actual building division, right? So I'm liking that proposition for me. Great result today, by the way. So that's markets rewarding it, even though there's a bit of negative commentary in there, with margin pressure in the US, with the flooding here in Australia. There's still enough positive in that announcement saying they're going to reach $1 billion, on track to reach $1 billion in revenue, which is probably puts them on about 15% growth at the revenue line. So all in all, you've got a company that's come back to the trend lines, long-term trend lines. You'd be looking to accumulate.
Brilliant.
Another long-termer.
Another sort of company they've got a sort of I think 12-13% shareholding is TUA. It's been, I've got it on the monthly. I'm going to put this back on the weekly. I think it's it's got a nice looking chart, Wolf. It's got a decent upward trend. What did you make of this announcement?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, you've got the top line growing, you've got the EBITDA line growing. The only thing that hasn't been growing is the profit line. And maybe the market is just seeing that as the downside to the story. I remember these guys have demerged from TPG. These guys are Singapore based, and they're trying to obviously muscle into the Singaporean telecommunication space, which is never easy, but they are making headway. But it's going to cost them, right? So they have to spend to grab that and expand and get some market share out of the other players that are in Singapore. So all in all, pretty good story. Great looking chart.
A vibrant economy, Singapore, Wolf, isn't it? I mean, it's one of the few countries in the world that's not in debt. I mean,
Yeah, look, I've got no problems with Singapore actually as an investment destination. So for me, TOA is okay. Yeah, so look, play it on the charts. I don't mind that the result is okay. Like I said, I think the only probably downside for me is it's got to be unprofitable maybe for some time. So will the markets forgive that? We'll see. But overall, I think it's still probably going to grow the top line.
Wolfie, again, some good numbers coming out of JB Hi-Fi. Sales was reasonably strong.
Yep.
And the market rewarding it. It's up 3%, but it just, it's a dividend play, and it's just another tick on the box for little JB Hi-Fi.
Oh, absolutely. What a great dividend player, by the way, Dave.
Yeah.
It's been one of those maligned stocks there's a lot of shorters in there for some reason or another. I have no idea. Obviously, I've got some axe to grind, but they've always been almost in your face type company saying we're going to keep delivering, even though whatever you say is negative, it doesn't really apply to us. So great management, pretty good results most of the time, good dividend payer, and that's why we're in this. We're pretty much more for the dividends than the growth here.
Excellent, Wolf. EM2. They raised 45 cents, which I thought was pretty good, Wolf. You were thinking it could be 40, but that's pretty good. I think they've raised the 16 million with Canaccord, so happy days.
Yeah, look, I was afraid, I was maybe like thinking the worst case scenario 40 cents, so at least that didn't eventuate, which is nice. 45 cents is not bad in this market. I think the problem is, Dave, is the charts. It's throwing the charts out again because when you have a capital raising, you're going to probably lose a little bit.
Unfortunately, what the charts show you, any capital raising kills trending momentum, obviously. Yep. And not always, Wolf. Sometimes you get those sort of. Remember when Z1P was having raises, and there was so much FOMO in the story at the time. It was still going. It's still going up and up and up. And it can happen to even resource stocks, but at the moment, just the way the market is, capital raises are seen as very negative because I think the trouble is that especially when you're dealing with the bigger companies like Canaccord, you just get a lot of flippers in these raises.
Yeah, and they put a lot of pressure on you, right? So
yeah, and it just means the share price, okay, it's another 2 months sideways. You know what I mean? But still, I think it's a good story, and for long term.
Well, the story hasn't changed really. It's unfortunate the share price is languishing, but the story is the same.
There's a lot of stories like that in the market at the moment, Wolf. But I want to talk about another one which is actually doing very, very well, which is S32. And we're talking about, again...
it's all about aluminium, isn't it? I mean, I'm just looking through the trading economics, which has got all our commodities that we look through. And you can see one of the strongest ones in there, actually for the week is the strongest, is aluminium at up today at 4.7%. For the week is 12.6, and we talked about it. The reason why was Rusal and Australia banning sales to Russia. So that looks pretty positive for aluminium players, I'd say, and maybe S32 is a beneficiary of that. And I would have thought that AWC would be a beneficiary of that, but at the moment it's just not doing anything. So we just got to wait and be patient with AWC.
Yeah, definitely. And well, let's have a look at that chart. S32 is looking very strong and looking like it's going to go higher. And AWC, yeah, so sort of, what is it about AWC? It's funny how stocks just develop a character. Even a good little story like this, and you've got aluminium going for the roof.
Maybe there's two different forces playing here, right? AWC, so that you're going to get higher prices, but maybe the energy prices are killing the actual profits here for AWC because it's very energy intensive. Producing alumina and aluminium, it's extremely energy intensive, right? So potentially I'm thinking inflation could be a problem for AWC. It's just depending the forces, what's stronger. So that's why I'm not gonna charge into AWC until I see either an update or a good looking chart.
Isn't it funny? The charts never lie, Wolf. It doesn't matter what story you look at, the charts pick up all those sort of
little nuances that we don't
nuances behind the scenes where you just can't see. And obviously the charts are saying if you're correct on that inflation causing an issue with AWC, it's maybe not quite as bad with S32.
Oh, plus S32 is much more diversified, right? So
Yeah, more diversified, more different stories. Yeah, a lot
right.
easier. Wolf, on that note,
Mhm.
obviously you've got the war stories doing well. West
They are
Whitehaven,
doing
which were they keep going on. You've got Zimplats uh, going up and up and up. So these war stories just and what did we see? Record again. Oil prices up another 6 or
yeah.
7% last night.
Yep, they're going up. So you've really got the commodities space still going on. Actually, gold is still looking pretty good, Dave, for me. So
Yeah,
that
no, definitely coming back a little bit there, and those gold trends still alive and kicking, and Northern Star still looking good, and Evolution not looking too bad. ALK, I think we're targeting 120. Hopefully we'll get it, and even little IPL just edging up. So all those sort of war plays, it's awful to say. I'd like to see them doing badly, to be honest with you, but they're all doing well, and I think maybe the standout of all those, Wolf, is at the moment little IGO.
oh yeah,
That chart is sort of just breaking out. If it looks like this by the end of the week, it's not too far for buy signal.
one more day. Come
What?
on.
Well, Wolf, it's not bad. That's a good looking chart. It's looking like it could have a little bit of a move up, I tell you.
Agree, agree. But at least
Um,
look, we've got a couple of interesting longer term stories for you guys if you're interested. And that's BKW and SOL.
on that note, Wolfie, thank you very much, and look forward to going live, Ask the Analyst live tomorrow. Thanks, Wolfie. Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.